how does Christianity, how does faith, God, spirituality, all of that roll in together to help people move from disorder to reorder. And that's, that's not something that we can figure out overnight. But in my little 3 feet of influence, Greg Ellison says, whatever's in your 3 feet, you can influence it. Greg Ellison is a professor at Candler School of Theology at Emory, and he has this book he's written called Fearless Dialogues. And I'm telling you, man, it's like collaborating, learning to work together, being an ideal team player, coming together, influencing your circle for love. Just be your beautiful self.
And speaking of ideal team players, my buddy Scott Bowling over here.
Is he an ideal team player?
You could not ask for a better dude to say,
you could never
hey.
ask for a better dude.
Michelle just said something profound. You're like, speaking of that. This one
Speaking
time.
That's true.
Speaking of profundity.
Great segue, Johnny.
Speaking of profundity.
I can't follow that up.
Johnny Summers and Scott Bowling are going to beatbox while
Yes.
Donna writes a song. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Ready?
I was actually hoping for Are You Ready? But, that's cool.
Oh, okay.
What's Are You Ready?
I don't got nothing. You are watching Good Company.
Yes! That was Scott Bowling, everybody. What? Check out that high note, right?
I got high notes all day.
That boy pretends he can't sing.
I can sing a note.
Do it, Donna. Let's come on now. You got some lyrics.
I'm sitting in the podcast room with my friends. I love my friends. We got Scott Bowling and he's wearing a plaid. And we're okay with that. And Michelle's a thinker. Boy, she can read some books. She'll read 20 books in one day.
If you let me.
Yeah. And then you got Johnny Summers.
There we go.
Don't ask him his opinion on theology. Because you're going to hear his answer all day. Hold on, I'm not done.
We'll throw a waffle at you.
He'll throw a waffle at you for no apparent reason.
I think we're at an editing point at this point. I can cut it or keep it. Just do it. Don't be a wiener.
I can't do it, man.
Okay.
I'll do it later.
I'm not feeling. You drawing your boundary.
I'm not feeling it right now, Johnny.
It's cool, man.
I feel weird screaming into this mic, Johnny.
Yeah.
You feel weird all the time. Just do it.
You feel weird anyway.
Johnny's like this.
You're always weird, dude.
So Johnny's like the devil on your shoulder.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that we all experience anxiety like pretty consistently.
Yeah, I
told those guys, I was like, I think Scott and I could just have a podcast on anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. Are we still recording right now?
Yeah, but I'm going to edit this. Are you kidding me?
No. We can still talk about
I
it.
thought this was unedited.
Oh, this is unedited,
Raw,
man.
uncut.
I took a chance.
I believe
it
that's
failed.
a chimera, a fantasy, a utopian society.
But we got
Everybody
pretty
wants
close.
fantasy, but what they need is reality.
Oh, now she's gonna go profound.
Right.
I mean, we don't have to talk about this, but when somebody over a year ago, maybe about a year and a half ago, if somebody told me they were experiencing anxiety, I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Great point. I was just thinking about that. I didn't mean to cut you off right now.
Yeah, but I'll be like, what do you
I've
think
experienced I've had it for over 15 years, and nobody talked about it when I first had it. It was like I didn't have anybody to talk to about it.
Yeah.
So I saw therapy or whatever, and it was like, and now it seems like every sermon you hear is about it. I'm like, what happened? I feel like I'm the old school anxiety.
Phones.
You came out of the closet.
Yeah, just don't.
You came out of the anxiety closet.
How would you describe anxiety? What does anxiety
it's physical.
mean to you? Like, how would you describe
You
it?
go first.
Well, I don't want it to define me. That's the problem, right?
No,
So,
but not define you.
How do you
but
experience it? Like,
The
what happens
symptoms?
to you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Well, mine's more social, so everybody's got different ones. And I hate when preachers always say they give examples and they're poor examples. Like, oh, did I forgot to
Oh, and then
close
they
the
shame
garage?
you, and then they shame you for it.
Yeah.
It's sort of like,
And it's like you have
if you
more
really believed in
faith.
Jesus, you wouldn't have it in the first place. And
Oh,
I'm always
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I got two fingers out.
yeah.
That makes me mad.
Does
Yeah.
it make you mad?
I don't like that one at all.
I don't either.
The mind though is so powerful, so you kind
it
of psych
is.
yourself out. So when you start thinking about it, then it's like if you keep thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get nervous when I do this one thing," then you get nervous when you do that one thing. But
And
I've
then-
actually,
and if you could stop, you would, wouldn't you?
yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
it's a lot of praying, but it gets better though. I actually saw a doctor again for the first time again. That doesn't make any sense. On Monday I saw a doctor, so now I'm on trying something new, Zoloft.
Yeah. I've heard good things about that.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it was not social, it was relational, and it was situational, and it's still that way. And I was already experiencing it, performance anxiety, like it's just like every Sunday morning I don't eat.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't eat.
We talked about
I
that
bring
before.
y'all food, but I don't touch
Yeah,
that stuff.
you always
Yeah.
bring the best stuff. I'm like, that smells good, but I don't really eat it.
He's like, casserole, not me. I'll do that afterwards. And I just thought it was my sort of like cross to bear. You know what I'm saying? So
That's interesting, the performance part.
yeah.
So you
And
actually
then
get nervous about making sure you play the right stuff.
everything.
See, I never get nervous about playing the right notes. I'm not trying to be like sound like I'm cocky or anything. I never go, I hope I play the right drum beat. Mine's more like, oh my God, everybody's staring at me. Like I gotta do this thing and I can't leave. I'm just stuck here. Like
You are so
"Oh."
stuck there. You're the drummer.
Yeah. So mine's not like I don't think about the music's the last thing I think about.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
Mine is letting people down. If I
Me
think for
too.
1 second I let you down or you down or you down, it's annihilating.
Me too. Oh,
It's
amen to that.
annihilating. And I know, I've read enough stuff, and it's like the ego, and the ego's not a bad thing. It's just a thing, but it's not a real thing. It's not a true thing. It's this sort of thing that we've created from our childhood or whatever. I've learned a lot, but that doesn't mean that just because I know what it is that I can make it go away.
Yeah, do you ever like say something to somebody and then you go to bed that night thinking about what you said? And
Oh.
that person doesn't think what you just said, but
Yeah.
that kills me.
Yeah, the lady I've been seeing as a counselor, she says, "Oh, you're churning. You're churning." I was like, "Butter. I'm just butter. I'm just churning."
Does it feel like sometimes when your mind kind of goes to that place, I don't know, I use the idea of a bowling alley with the bowling ball and the ruts on either side, and once you're in the rut, it's really hard to
That's kind of a good
get
analogy.
out.
Yeah, and it goes there faster the more it happens, and then once you get conditioned to it,
Yeah.
it's really hard to create a new rut.
It's like a
Yeah.
pattern, yeah.
Right. I
Yeah.
don't know if there's like this.
It's
neuro
physiological for me.
pathway.
Scott didn't tell about the symptoms, but for me, like something will happen, and my palms will start to sweat, armpits will start to sweat, my heart doesn't necessarily race. I never get like a racing heart, but I get a tightness in my chest, and it's an adrenaline response for me, and I call it being triggery. And once that happens, it's really hard to unwind that. And but I will say this, for me, it's given me, it's been humbling. Man, it's been humbling. And maybe I needed that, but it has given me so much more appreciation for anyone who says to me, "Oh, I've got some anxiety." In the past, I'm like, just go make an A+ and stop it already, And now I'm like, oh no, A+ ain't gonna just get it, and A+ is the problem,
Wow, that's a great point. Yeah.
As far as associations, like you say that, once you get in the rut, it's hard to get out. Do you guys ever, I feel like there's multiple associations. Like, so for example, if I have a panic attack, like say in this room we're in right now, and maybe I don't even notice other factors, like maybe I get a panic attack in front of Scott, and that's just as an example, or with the lights on this way. Like if I come back in this room, I feel like I'm more prone to anxiety after that
so
point.
true.
Absolutely. That's
Yes.
You know what I'm
exactly how I am.
So true.
One bad experience will ruin
It's
it.
like there's,
Yeah.
and this is so bad.
Neural pathways are fired, baby.
They're
and it's
crazy.
like from that
Yeah.
point on, it's like, what?
And as a regular performer who plays at the same venue over and over again, there's
Yeah.
certain places that I just dread, and there's nothing wrong with that place except for it's the same place that I keep having the same panic attack.
Oh no, Johnny is at the church stage.
It's not so much the church stage; it's when we first walk out there, and if I can sit, especially if there's something about sitting down behind the drums that's way better than standing up. If I stand up,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm about to fall on the floor and pass out.
You know what I think we should do at church, honestly, instead of just
I
being
love
like
stooling it.
everybody just coming out and being like, "Hey, everybody, welcome to church this morning," and just like hitting them with all that energy. What if we just walk out there on a Sunday morning and go, "Okay, everybody, we're just gonna play some music,"
Yeah, that would be awesome.
and everybody just take a breath.
That would be great.
Because you know what? Everybody just take a breath and say, "Thank you, God. I made it here. I'm breathing. My lungs are working. Both my feet are on the
We
floor."
can do meditation with it.
Meditation
We do
worship.
meditation. Oh, yes.
I'm in.
Yeah, 12 diffusers around the room.
That'd be
spraying
perfect.
out lavender.
Because by the time we get done with the second or third song, and the preacher gets up to do that prayer that's supposed to be 30 seconds, and it's 3
It's 3
minutes,
minutes.
and me and Scott are sitting there like,
Yeah, Johnny's chewed off 4 fingernails and spit them on the floor.
we can
And
handle
Michelle
it.
would if she didn't have her gels on.
Because we just had 10 minutes of relaxation therapy. We're good to go.
I'm not even kidding.
I'm not either.
I mean, I think the model of the mega church come out with the big concert and the, you know, I love some smoke though, but
I love though the energy though, and that's one thing I feel like we like because me and Jonathan played at the youth thing one time,
Yeah.
and we went out there and they're all running up. I was like, man, this is awesome. It's
Yeah.
that energy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just weird when people are quiet, just staring at you, like, okay,
Give you
do
nothing
your
back.
thing.
okay, well, and that's never going away where we are. I mean, that's probably not going to change.
So then let's do meditation instead.
Yeah, meditation's good.
just saying. I'm just saying. I love you guys.
Anybody need a glass of wine while
You want Alexander Valley or you want Testamento?
You want the number one?
Whatever you got the most of left. I'm ready.
I think we have more of the Costco Alexander.
Wow, we got a lot left.
Yep.
You guys have been so moderate, so temperate. I want to say, and I know you're going to edit all this out, but speaking about alcohol and Jesus and all that, one of the cardinal virtues was temperance. And during the progressive movement, temperance was adopted as a word to mean not drinking at all. But actually, the word temperance means moderation. It means to have self-control. It's a fruit of the Spirit. So love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Temperance with alcohol means actually to be able to moderate your intake. And Mark and I have always tried to model moderation, temperance.
That's good, yeah.
Because we feel like it's a virtue. Instead of saying, no, you can't have anything, whether it's sugar, desserts, whatever it is we try to model temperance.
What's that like when you have kids though? Like, because you don't want to say when you have kids, you don't want to be like, you can never go out, or you can go out sometimes. You know, I'm just yeah.
It's I am no model of parenting. I will tell you that right now. But what we heard, I was actually Andy Stanley. He says, coach, get into the coaching phase, and then of course Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. And the end in mind for me, because I experienced a large part of my life where I didn't feel like I could do this. I wanted my kids to want to come home. When they left, I wanted them to look forward to coming home. And I will say, so far, they do. And when they walk in the door, I heard, golly, who said this? I don't remember who said this. And if I think of it, I'll put it on the show notes. But it's like, they were like, as a parent, you have one job, and that is for your face to light up when your kid walks in the room. And I'm like, no, my job is to fix them and to control them and to make sure they don't screw up and all this. And they're like, no, your first and most important job is for your face to light up when they walk in the
That's
room.
amazing.
And my husband's parents do that, and now my dad does that. He's so happy to see me, and my mom passed away recently, but it's I want to be that. you know, I actually want to be that for my friends too. I want my face to light up when you walk in the room.
And what about your significant other? Let's not forget
Oh,
them.
Mark?
Or
Or
just-
he's just like, or any significant other you meet.
like,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
your friends, your family, your significant other. You know, we
Yeah.
spend so much time criticizing a lot of times instead of
We
your
gotta
face.
stop.
Yeah.
We gotta
instead
stop
of your
doing
face
that.
lighting up. I think if we would just practice, you know, just kindness more often than not.
Radical acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there'll be time for fixing later.
I mean, but can we really fix anybody?
No,
no.
And I mean, really, with our kids, I feel like they're like ping pong. I mean, they're like pinballs. You just knock them back into play. They start to go down in the hole and just sort of knock
Oh,
them
that's a
back
great
in,
analogy.
and that's just kind of how we did our boys. We were just like, get back in there, but we didn't control all the obstacles that they would
Yeah.
get into. But I will tell you, that part is hard. That part is really, really hard.
Yeah, holding on loosely to some degree, I think, is a whole lot more difficult than being super controlling. Mm-hmm. I think that when you're super controlling, and it's fear based, first of all, and it's delusional because you're not really in control anyway. When it comes to another person,
Even a kid.
yeah, even
Dr.
especially the teenager
Dr.
years.
Shafali is, and I don't subscribe to everything that she gets, but she's a parenting expert, and she says, you know, your kids are not here for you to fix; they're actually here to fix you.
Wow.
And so you look at you and work on you, and then parent them from a place of wholeness, and they will be whole. But when you parent from a place of brokenness, not necessarily that they'll be broken, because I mean, there's that whole theological thing that we're kind of broken, but I mean, everyone's operating out of their own fear, not love. But as much as we can operate from an operating system of love and radical acceptance, and like, you're going to figure it out, buddy. You're going to figure it out. You're going to figure it out, honey. You're going to figure it out. What do you think? And I don't know. You know, we think they're going to be like ultra granola, and they're going to be bouncing off the walls. They're going to be crazy. But they actually don't. You'll be surprised. I mean,
And
you'll
I've
be
watched you
really
and Mark
surprised.
Practice this. I mean, I've known y'all for 12, 13 years now, and I've watched you parent your two boys, now young men, and I have always been so impressed how you gave them the freedom, presented the choices in both sides, and I've always said I cannot wait to see what the 25-year-old Boone and Pete look like, and you know, the men that they will become because of your I don't know, I don't want to call it holistic parenting, but I feel like
It's mindful. I will say, I mean, I know that word gets bannered around a lot, but we really do try to be mindful. Knox and Savannah, Rylan and Katie, I mean, who knows what these people are going to do this next generation. I think they're going to be amazing. I really do. I hear a lot of negative stuff, but I actually think they're going to be global. They're going to be activist. They're going to radically accept one another. They're going to knock down hierarchies and hatred and prejudice and injustice in a way that we don't even understand yet. I really do. That's the end of my soapbox.
I agree. That's cool.
Hear, hear.
Rest in peace, Elijah Cummings. Yeah, we get into our functions and we forget about the humanity of each other. I'm your parent. I'm your daughter. My mother just passed away, and man, so much unfinished business with that. And I thought, you know, I saw these pictures of her in like the 1950s and the 60s, and I'm like, I didn't know her as a woman. And I know that's common. I mean, I'm not guilting myself or shaming myself, but it's like I missed an opportunity to know her as a woman to woman. You know, one day Christy will know Savannah, woman to woman, hopefully. And you with Rylan. I mean, it's just like, get out of the role or the function of mom and know as, what was it like for you when you were 52? What was it like for you when you were, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
That's great.
And Scott,
Yeah.
how I mean, I hate to be presumptive here at this point, but I feel like you have a pretty good relationship with your parents, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, they've been pretty good about. I mean, I've experienced that myself, like where even my stepmother and my father and even my mother, you know, as they and my stepfather have all given me really great life advice. And I think the older you get, you know, the more you realize, hey, I'm an idiot, and you guys really had it way
That is
more
so
together
true, Johnny.
than I thought you did. you know?
100%. Like, and then I'm like, how can I live up to how great my parents were, and like how bad of a job am I doing with my kids? You know what I mean? I'm like, I suck as a parent, but then, like, yeah, I totally
You know
see
you
what you're saying.
don't.
It's hard though
All my
sometimes.
friends are parents. I don't have kids, but you guys walk around with "I'm guilty" on every single
So
one of you.
true.
There isn't a parent out there that doesn't wear mothers, especially. Oh my goodness. It's just I keep wanting to say you're doing the best you can. Okay, cut yourself a break and grow, learn, whatever, change. But guilt is
It's tough.
It can't be helping the
It's
situation.
not such an open. Maya Angelou says this, and Oprah quotes her is like, "When you know better, you do better. When you know better, you do better." And that could be a mantra to my life.
Okay, I have a funny thing, and I'm going to keep the names private to protect the innocent. But I was having a conversation, and somebody told me in confidence that they were going to leave their husband, had attempted it 3 times. And I'm like, why? You love your husband? She goes, because I'm such a bitch. I feel sorry for him. He's a better parent than me. I'm awful. I can't control my outbursts. And I was like, well, don't leave your husband. Just quit being a bitch. I mean, it was just
real.
weird. It's like, why cut your nose off to spite your face?
Yeah, you just need that T-shirt. It says "Quit being a bitch."
Quit being a bitch. Sorry,
You
I'm
think
sure.
she's like she's out of control with that.
Well, but it was a sweet exchange. I
Yeah.
love this person, and she was just
Don't
being
leave your husband. I mean,
no.
She's been honest. Bro.
She was just being honest. She's like, I really can't stop myself from being this person.
she needs a breakthrough.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I tried to give her some decent advice, and I'm not worthy of that. But I said practice gratitude, and you know.
But don't you feel like, and I'm sorry to
Mindfulness,
interrupt, but
yeah.
do you feel like maybe she's in the same rut that people that experience anxiety are? The same one that
Yeah,
we're
I
talking
do.
about? Like,
Yeah, I
I
do.
can't change my neural pathway of being a janky
And she probably had it.
ass.
She probably had it a
that's
terrible
great.
model. She probably had a rotten model, and a rotten model that's tough to overcome. It takes outside help. It takes counseling, maybe medication help. I mean, yes, your spiritual practice. Please do not hear me say that my faith and my spiritual practice and my faith in Jesus and my love of Jesus and singing God's songs does not play a huge part. But I would be lying to you if I told you that standing up and singing God's songs was going to fix my problem.
But why is everybody so hesitant? Like, once they realize that, like, hey, man, I'm in a terrible rut. Like, go to counseling. Like, why is everybody so crafty?
I did ask her.
It's vulnerable,
Well-
and it's an admission of failure.
A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't lean into that, but I did ask her, and I was like, "So, have you suffered with this before, long term panic attacks?" Yes, but it seemed to be more situational and circumstantial that triggered this feeling of the world is crumbling around me, which creates the outburst.
She in her late 30s, early 40s.
Yes. Anyway, we didn't even talk about that. Okay.
Just
But-
have her come see me.
But for what it's
I
worth,
got stories.
she talked about PTSD and just the what's happened in the past, and when she finds herself in positions and situations that may not be the same situation, but the feeling gets very similar. Her response is she kind of goes back to this person that she used to be, but you know, for me, it was a bit of an eye opener in that the thought, like, it kind of was an indicator where her headspace was.
Yeah.
That she would actually leave a loving husband, great with her kids, that her kids loved, her kids need her, but she was going to leave.
You know, it's so interesting that Paul says you take off these old clothes and you're a new man. He says man. The scriptures, of course, says man, but let's just say person. But what the scriptures don't necessarily tell you is that happens one piece of clothing. I take off the scarf and I put on a new scarf. I take off the shirt and I put on a new shirt. It's not instantaneous, or that's not been my experience. I know for some people, your brother, oh my goodness, our last podcast, so much of that was very big, instantaneous change, but it's also been one piece of clothing at a time as he's gone on. And
I feel bad about saying bitch now.
do you?
My brother's going to hear this. Sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but language is just language. I mean, we're the ones who apply all the value to the word. The word itself is neutral.
I love the thinker over here.
Yeah.
It's okay though. It was part of my story.
I think I said a bad word.
I was
too.
being real. Authentic faith speaks the
I
truth.
said ass clown.
Hey, well, there's some taboos. You can't cuss, you can't drink, and I've broken all those rules tonight. So, what are you gonna do about that?
That's true.
Hey, you guys, thanks for talking.
No.